Ever since Bitcoin was released in 2009, the identity of its creator, Satoshi Nakamoto, has been a mystery. And many people have been rumored to be Satoshi over the years, including Hal Finney, Elon Musk, Adam Back, not him, Nick Szabo, and many others. The fact that Bitcoin's creator is unknown has caused everything from blind devotion to political concern.
Crypto puts the system at the whims of some shadowy, faceless group of supercoders
to celebration across the world. But a new clue has come out that's making people think in true cryptography fashion that Bitcoin's creator was hiding in plain sight all along. And it just happens to be one of the most celebrated innovators of our time. Did Steve Jobs actually create Bitcoin?
I'll actually tell you kind of a secret.
Okay. And it wasn't that important because I never did it for the money.
Now this all started because it was found that a copy of the Bitcoin white paper is actually hidden on every Mac device. And if you want to know how to get to it, here are the steps. You go down into Systems, Library, Image Capture, Devices, Virtual Scanner, Contents, Resources, and then you'll see a PDF file called Simple Doc PDF. Open it up and... So this got people thinking and lining up the dots of certain similarities of what we know about Satoshi. So number one, Steve Jobs is recognized as one of the most innovative minds of our lifetime, and Bitcoin is considered one of the most innovative technologies. Number two, Jobs wasn't known to be a great coder, but that's exactly what people said about Satoshi as well.
Jobs was a poser, he didn't even write code.
And then number three, Satoshi's last known message was in April 2011, saying that he had moved on to other projects. And Jobs sadly passed away on October 5th of that same year.
Every once in a while, a revolutionary product comes along.
And that's what separates sometimes the people that do things from the people that just dream about them.
So they say.
So as interesting and fun as all those things are, it's pretty unlikely that Steve Jobs created Bitcoin. And here's a handful of reasons why. One, Jobs was all about the customer experience.
You've got to start with the customer experience and work backwards to the technology. You can't start with the technology.
I find it hard to imagine him spending a lot of time on something like Bitcoin, which was very complicated for the end user when it first came out. Number two, Satoshi made over 150 code commits and over 500 forum posts over the span of a year. That doesn't seem like something Jobs would be doing, in addition to being CEO of one of the most popular companies on the planet. He didn't actually step down as CEO of Apple until August of 2011. And even though people say that Satoshi wasn't a great programmer, I would imagine at that point in time he was probably more accomplished at it than Steve Jobs was, just based on where Jobs was at in his career. Number three, Satoshi was very engaged in the cypherpunk ethos and community, communicating on cryptography mailing lists and being knowledgeable in the history of previous digital cash cryptography projects. And that just doesn't seem to fit with Jobs' persona and his biggest accomplishments in life. Jobs was definitely more calligraphy than he was cryptography. And even Google thinks so. Number four, if you listen to Steve Jobs' views on privacy.
Privacy means people know what they're signing up for. And some people want to share more data than other people do. Ask them.
I would argue that wanting companies to just disclose how they use data is a very different view than someone who went to great lengths to hide his own identity completely and basically created a digital money system that didn't use identity at all. And if all that wasn't enough, the blog that initially broke the story had an update saying that a little birdie told him that it was an engineer at Apple that put it there. So as fun as it was to believe that Steve Jobs might have been Satoshi, it's a lot more likely that it was just an avid Bitcoiner engineer that put a little Easter egg in there, as opposed to some clue about the original creator of Bitcoin. And if you looked online when the story came out, ultimately I think people are correct in saying that it really doesn't matter who Satoshi is at this point. Bitcoin has stood on its own for so long at this point that it really doesn't matter who the original creator was, aside from the fact that they would have a lot of Bitcoin under their control. And no, I'm not talking about Michael Saylor. Things like regulatory pressure and ease of use are much more impactful topics to talk about. Mass adoption for Bitcoin is going to depend on things like how quickly improvements in usability and user experience can make it easier to use, which ironically is something that Steve Jobs was really great at. So while Jobs is likely not Satoshi, it still is fun to wonder what those Apple events would have been like if he was all, and now?
For one more thing.
If you enjoyed this video, click to subscribe for more videos about money, investing, and financial independence. Peace.